Binary Domain deserved way more time in the spotlight. When the game launched, it sold around 100,000 copies? That's just awful. Dan and Bo begin their mission and we get a tutorial for orders? Yes, Binary Domain has a system where you can use your mic to give orders to your allies. This, as you can probably guess, doesn't work very well. Thankfully, it's not mandatory. You can turn off this setting. When you turn off the mic usage, you can use the keyboard for giving out orders. This is such an okay system. Most of the time there is no point to giving orders. What's the point of saying fire when your allies will always do it no matter what? An order is sometimes useful when you go down and can tell your ally to heal you, but the healing system is broken. When you're dealt enough damage, you go down and you can use a first aid kit to get up. You can also tell your ally to help you and they will use their own first aid kit. For most of the game you will have 2 allies with you. Each character has 3 first aid kits. This means that you have 9 opportunities to heal in most situations. The enemies just can't deal with that. Sure, sometimes an ally will use first aid on themselves or you will use yours on them if you want to, but that's not enough. It doesn't help that first aid is incredibly cheap and the game also showers you with first aids to pick up. The game's difficulty is unfortunately very inconsistent. It seems like the game is designed to be played with 1 character, but with the addition of 2 or 3 others, the game sometimes struggles. One of the best segments in the game happens in chapter 2 of the story. You have to save 2 people from your squad as fast as you can. You are alone at this moment and everything is balanced perfectly. The enemies just don't have the possibility to get confused. I love this section. Too bad it ends in like 5 minutes. Harder difficulty somewhat solved the difficulty issue by making the enemies more aggressive. With each completed playthrough you will get 2 other difficulty modes, Survivor and No Mercy. While Survivor is a bit harder than Rust 'em Up, No Mercy is the greatest. No Mercy is the only difficulty mode where my allies died. When playing on other modes I didn't think about them cause they were basically walking talking first aids. This greatly helps the trust system. This is something so unique I don't think any other game did it since. Throughout the game the trust level of your companions will rise or fall depending on your actions. If you're a prick to them, if you're terrible in combat or shoot them, it will fall. If you're nice to them, if you're good in combat, it will rise. Depending on what companions you pick, you'll get a lot of dialogue and sometimes pleasing one character will annoy the other. Story-wise, constantly splitting up is strange, but there was a lot of effort put into the writing. There is a lot of variation in the conversations you can have, which bumps up the replay value. It also helps that the game has an incredible cast. Travis Willingham, Troy Baker and Laura Bailey. Donnie Young Bosch, who also played Nero in Devil May Cry. I don't know the actors for Bo and Rachel, but the acting in the game overall is fantastic. Mostly.
Not really, General.
Now just what in the hell do you think you're doing?
You see, it would appear that Hollow children actually believe they're human.
Oh, this is bullshit. I'm no goddamn.
The story is fun. That's the best I can give it. I mean, one of the 2 writers of this game would later go on to write RE Village, and that game's story is absolute ass. At least here the characters are fun.
File photo doesn't do her justice. She looks familiar. Reminds me of an actress or someone. Come on, Bo, you know the only movies you watch are porn. Oh, yeah, right, with the... yeah. Hey, watch this. Excuse me. Hi, I'm Dan, and that is my partner, Bo. Ni hao.
This is real. The trust system also changes some scenes. If you're nice to Faye, her and Dan will fuck. If Kane trusts you, he will survive the game? What? Yeah, I don't know how that matters. but fine. It's really cool that they are willing to kill off main characters based on how you're doing, but that one is strange. If Kane lives, then he takes the hit for Faye and all's well. If he dies, then Bo dies while saving Faye. If you have low trust with Bo, then he is a boss and Rachel dies while saving Faye. If you have high trust with Bo, then he doesn't betray you and he saves Faye. What's retarded about that is the fact that the dialogue stays mostly the same. In a game with so much variation, you'd think they would account for that. In the section with Kurosawa and Shindo, they also have a trust level, but it doesn't matter. Makes me wonder why they even bothered with them. There are also other cool variations. In this room you have a toxic gas in chambers with regular air for regenerating health. If you close them before your ally gets in, they will rightfully call you out. If you're here with Kane, then he just waits for you. In this section, Faye is wounded. You can choose who will go on ahead for absolutely no fucking reason and who will stay with you. If you send away Faye, then everything's cool. If you take her with you, she will call you out for being a fucking idiot and taking a wounded person into battle.
Well, that scraphead was certainly tenacious. And you? Ugh, I see you don't have a problem sending a wounded comrade into heavy action. In case you'd forgotten, I took this hit covering you.
That's really fucking cool. Most of the characters are fun and interesting, with a few exceptions being the retarded government Amada and the final boss that they pulled out of their fucking ass. I would gladly compare it to Resident Evil 4, which has a retarded plot with the characters being the thing that make it incredibly entertaining. The plot revolves around hollow children, which are robots that think they are humans. Somehow there's a lot of them around the world, yet no one knows about them. The hollow child that reveals itself and kicks off the plot was in the US for apparently 30 years. This fucking general is also one. How these weren't discovered is a mystery. Story sometimes says that no one knows about them, yet at the same time they have dialogue like this.
なるほどな。こんなの見たことねえ。俺らも驚きましたよ。
This whole fucking scene is odd. Charlie makes it pretty adamant at this point that we shouldn't interfere with local affairs. Seems fair and logical, but then he calls over Dan to what seems to be some Yakuza thing, and like a minute later it's revealed that this guy is a hollow child. Funnily enough, this scene adds absolutely nothing to the plot or to the characters, so what the fuck was the point of this? Also, the hollow children can have kids, which are basically humans with slightly enhanced abilities. Why would you have the robots have the ability to reproduce if you can't control what they produce? Kinda defeats the point, doesn't it? Now, can you believe that one person in our squad is a baby like that? What are the fucking odds of that? The plot is absolute ass, and it's not the reason why this game is good. Just like Resident Evil 4, this game also has a shop system, and it's ass. While you're playing, you will always have Dan's assault rifle, an infinite handgun with low damage, a third weapon that you pick up while playing, and grenades. In the shop you can upgrade Dan's rifle or the weapons of your companions. The game gives you just enough money so that you can upgrade your weapon fully. Why the fuck would you ever upgrade anyone else's weapon? The cost of their upgrades is the same as yours, so what the fuck? Also, the game unfortunately doesn't have New Game Plus, so you can't even do that there. Besides the upgrades, everything is way too cheap. The previously mentioned first aid kits, but also ammo and other weapons, and the
nanomachine, son.
Placement of the shops is fucking great. It's so great how you run out of ammo and you can just buy it while you're fighting the boss. What the hell is this? We don't really have a lot of customization options. The only thing that you can change about your rifle is the kind of burst charge you have. The burst charge is a strong attack that can temporarily disable stronger opponents and destroy smaller ones. There are 3 variations of this attack, but come on, the homing one is easily the best. It does the same amount of damage as the other ones and homes in on enemies. It's fortunate that we have a few uses of these because they are way too powerful against bosses. The boss fights in the game overall are The spider is a cool one. You can either try to destroy its legs or you can risk getting damage and go straight for its core. On No Mercy you're basically dead if you go under him, so it's legs. It's kinda odd that the game showers you with rockets delivered by some bots. You can use the rockets that are laying around to shoot the spider. You can also just use your rifle. The rockets showering kinda devalues the few that we are given in the beginning. It would make this fight a bit more challenging and more satisfying. The Iron Whale is so meh. It shoots homing missiles at you, you can use the homing RPG to take him down, and you can also shoot at him with your guns. The Iron Whale's homing missiles can barely ever touch you if you're just moving, and most of the time they just knock you down. It's a really lame fight. The gorilla is so fucking shit. He's super bullet spongy, he constantly knocks you down, and it's super fucking lame. You also have a fucking store right here while you're fighting him. Kinda defeats the point of playing well when you can constantly buy ammo. Who fucking designed this? Like, can you imagine fighting a boss in Resident Evil 4 and the merchant is just standing there? Yeah, there's also the gorilla again. There's nothing of note here, a bullet sponge again. The final boss is a bit better, he has 3 stages with 3 different weapon types. Depending on your trust levels, the fight will be easier or harder. The character is super fucking lame and stupid, but at least we have more to talk about here than most of the other fights. It's a bit unfortunate that a game with such solid, consistent mechanics and a really great variety of enemies has to suffer such poor boss quality. The enemies you fight throughout the game are truly amazing. If you shoot off their heads, they will start fighting other enemies. I don't know how this makes sense in universe, but it's incredibly useful in harder difficulties. Depending on which arm you shoot off, they will either continue shooting or attack you with melee. If you shoot off their legs, they will start crawling towards you, which in a game where there can be lots of enemies could be possibly deadly. Such a small number of simple choices, yet it can create so many interesting scenarios. How consistent they are also adds to how great they are. You know what else is great that many games struggle with? The cover system is so fucking good. It's incredibly tight, but very rarely the game can get confused because the button for cover and roll is the same. It's rare, but it can annoy you when it happens. The soundtrack is fine. It's not bad, but it's nothing noteworthy. The game has a multiplayer, but it's dead and its all-time peak was 1,000 people, so that's a shame. Right now the game peaks at around 20 people, so there is really no chance of playing it. The game ends kinda satisfyingly, wrapping up all loose ends, but it also makes a hard sequel bait that will never ever fucking happen because it's sold like shit. If you're here, do yourself the favor and buy this game. It's incredibly cheap right now and I'm more than happy saying it's one of the best shooters ever made. Thank you for watching and goodbye.